Apple removes advanced data protection for iCloud in the UK after the government ordered it to build a backdoor, something the company says it will never do. Crypto exchange Bybit says a hacker took control of one of its cold Ethereum wallets, resulting in what analysts estimate was the loss of $1.50 billion worth of tokens. Arkham says ZachXBT submitted proof that North Korea's Lazarus Group is behind Bybit's $1.50 billion hack, which is the largest single theft in crypto history. Coinbase says the U.S. SEC agreed in principle to drop its 2023 case against the company, calling it righting a major wrong and a huge day for crypto. NFT marketplace OpenSea says the U.S. SEC has ended an investigation into the company after OpenSea received a Wells notice in August 2024. OpenAI says it found evidence of an AI-powered surveillance tool used by a Chinese security operation to identify anti-China posts on social media in the West. Apple releases Visionos 2.4 developer beta, adding Apple Intelligence, a guest mode, a spatial gallery app, an iPhone app for remote installs, and more. EU antitrust regulators are set to charge Google for breaching the DMA after proposed changes to its search results fail to address concerns. Brazilian Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes orders the immediate and full suspension of Rumble in the country due to non-compliance with court orders. DeepSeek plans to open source 5 of its code repositories next week, letting anyone download, build on, or improve the code behind its well-regarded AI models. Trump says Tim Cook told him that Apple stopped 2 plants in Mexico and will build products in the U.S. instead, a move Apple hasn't publicly discussed. OpenAI told investors that it expects revenue to more than triple in 2025, from $3.70 billion to over $12.50 billion. 1/3 of the revenue growth would come from SoftBank. NetEase CEO William Ding has cut hundreds of jobs, closed game studios, and reduced international investment as he refocuses on a smaller portfolio of titles. Chinese game giant NetEase reports Q4 net profit up 33% YoY to $20 billion, 20 cents above H1 $5 billion ST, and revenue down 1.4%, a sign its gaming business is turning around. Trump directs CFIUS to limit Chinese investments in key areas and says US will consider outbound investment restrictions to China in sectors like chips and AI. US negotiators pressing Ukraine for access to its minerals raise the possibility of cutting the country's access to Starlink if a deal is not reached. The U.S. ISA is losing 10% of its workforce via firings and buyout offers, including nearly half of a small team that regulates autonomous vehicles. Block shares closed down 17.69% on February 21st, their steepest drop since 2020, after Q4 earnings missed, and guidance for 2025 failed to reassure investors. President Trump signs a memorandum to consider retaliatory measures, including tariffs, on countries that impose digital service taxes on US tech companies. President Trump signs a memorandum to consider retaliatory measures, including tariffs, on countries that impose digital services taxes on US tech companies. Sakana AI walks back claims that its new AI CUDA engineer can speed up AI training by up to 100x after complaints about worse than average training performance. Nikkei Asia. Tokyo-based Sakana AI details its AI CUDA engineer, which it says can speed up AI training and inference 10x to 100x by breeding more efficient instructions. Source: the U.S. Marshals Service is struggling to come up with a rough estimate of its Bitcoin holdings, complicating plans for a U.S. Bitcoin reserve, and is in talks with Asian companies for a $3 billion to $4 billion sale of data center manufacturing plants, which it inherited in its $4.90 billion ZT Systems acquisition. SoftBank VF and others marked up ByteDance's valuation to $400 billion. SoftBank put zero value on TikTok's U.S. operations but factored in AI business to bow. FluidStack, which wants to build a €10 billion AI data center in France as part of Macron's €109 billion data center pledge, is in talks to raise a $200 million Series A. Source: AI search engine startup Genspark raised a $100 million Series A at a $530 valuation and currently has over 2 million MAUs. It raised a $60 million seed in June 2024. Sensor Tower: Xiaohongshu's downloads fell 91% in 5 days after Apple and Google listed TikTok on their U.S. app stores on February 13th, while TikTok's doubled. OpenAI launches operator in the UK, Japan, and most ChatGPT regions, and says it's working to expand to the EU, Switzerland, Norway, Liechtenstein, and Iceland. Software engineers, academics, and analysts say AI coding tools will likely start an evolution rather than an extinction, pushing developers to learn new skills. How Breeze Liu, an advocate for digital abuse victims, got Microsoft to scrub 142 non-consensual explicit images of herself from Azure after months of struggle. Japanese officials and executives warn that China's export curbs on gallium, germanium, and other chip raw materials threaten global electronics supply chains. On Alibaba's Q3 earnings call, CEO Eddie Wu calls the pursuit of AGI the company's primary objective, saying, "Our first and foremost goal is to pursue AGI." Meta's oversight board got little notice of Zuckerberg's free speech overhaul, fueling tensions as it rushes to hold Meta accountable for the changes. Whoa! All iPhone 17 models will have Apple's in-house Wi-Fi chips, enhancing connectivity and cutting costs. Only the slim iPhone 17 will have the Cone modem chip.